Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another exciting Propagandacast from me, host ImperialDane. And today I have for you a 1 versus 1 in the streets of Sturzdorf. Yes, indeed, we shall be taking the fight to somewhere slightly different. Well, not so different again. And well, I suppose it was either that or Langre. Again, I'm getting an awful lot of games on Langre and seeing a lot of games on Langre, so it's a bit hard to, find something else which is not on Langre at the moment. But it's going to be Sturzdorf, and who shall be fighting well in the southern corner. We are going to be seeing DrGreenthumb. Yes, indeed, DrGreenthumb of the Wehrmacht of the 15th Panzergrenadier Division. Opposing him shall be that cheeky devil ImperialDane here by request, and someone's actually been asking to see my American game. So let's have a look at that. And recently I've actually reached rank 14, or level 14, whatever you'd like to call it, with the Americans. So hurrah for that as well. Fighting for the 31st Infantry Division, right here near the German border. And let's in fact get right down to it. Let's begin. Let us see what I do. The usual 2-engineer barrack start. What I prefer to go for, of course, some players like to go 3 engineers, some like to go 4 engineers and then a barracks. To each his own, and we are seeing a... Could it be a free pioneer start from DrGreenthumb? Quite interesting, quite interesting. At least I think so. Usually you only see these sort of 2 pioneer Wehrmacht quarters start. In this case, he might be going for a 3 pioneer. And of course, that means he basically wants to ensure as much territory as possible before actually taking to the fight against those vicious Americans. And we are, of course, seeing a bit of a spread out here. First fighting near the German border, basically being undertaken by Patton's army as they entered into the Lorraine region, which was quite swiftly counterattacked by several panzer brigades and 1 panzer division. I believe it did not really go too well for the Germans. Lots of inexperienced troops, which wasn't always quite as well. They had a lot of panthers and such. But too bad, you need more than just the newest tanks. You also need capable people behind them. The pioneers are spreading out continually. Good there. And of course, this point usually tends to be a pretty high focal point because that's where the high fuel point is. Plus, right here at the edges, there are high munition points as well. So again, the eastern side does see a lot of fighting. It's just here between the shortest point between the 2 bases, which is usually not a bad idea to sort of assume that most fighting will tend to take place. But barracks up riflemen on the way, spreading out a bit here towards the east, again sort of heading towards here where the fight might be. First unit out, Volksgrenadiers, hang on. Some things were running a bit sluggishly, so quickly turned off a few things, not entirely sure what it is. Doing so much to my distress. First engagement, engineers versus pioneers. US engineers didn't quite exist at the same purpose as the German pioneers. Engineers were basically just construction troops, then basically sort of secondary riflemen second. And in a pinch, the engineers could also act as basically sort of emergency riflemen. In some cases they actually were, which all didn't always quite work out as well. In one case where they actually had to sort of work with tanks and they got chewed up badly. Conversely, though, German pioneers were not just construction troops and such, they were actually also elite assault troops and were actually pretty good fighting troops. So slight little fun difference there for those that did not know. Riflemen being pushed off by the Volksgrenadiers, and the pioneers right here in the west go down. Again, not entirely sure what's going on here. Slight lagging behind, but nothing huge. Still noticeable for me, and I find it frustrating since there's no good reason for it to do so. So my apologies right here in the beginning if it continues or persists. I'd never like this, but Volksgrenadiers have won the slight first game there. Good use of heavy cover again, cover matters. 2 kills for the Volksgrenadiers, 2 kills for the Fatherland. Except, of course, I got 2 pioneers, and that's worth a lot more. Riflemen charging in here, trying, of course, their best. In this case, of course, they're able to get a bit closer, but again, do not underestimate Volksgrenadiers in heavy cover. And generally, you actually want to keep your Volksgrenadiers in heavy cover. That's generally where they work the best. Again, very vital that you sort of try to stick with them, and that's also why they can sort of lay down sandbags again to basically give them their own heavy cover. And again, Volksgrenadiers, heavy cover, that's usually what works all right. So slight little tip there. MG42 moving up, schweres MG42. Sort of difference in American and German infantry doctrine was basically who was supposed to do the main fighting. Sort of with the Wehrmacht, the MG42 was sort of the core of the fighting effort, though not the heavy machine gun, that was more of a support weapon, but sort of the light MG42, which is actually not really that well represented. The Volksgrenadiers were basically there to... Riflemen were basically there to support it, and there we go. This was slightly less great engagement for the Volksgrenadiers, caught out in the open, caught without heavy cover, and they're getting gunned down, which is obviously not working very well for them. There was slight engagement up here. Volksgrenadiers and Pioneers joining up against some Engineers. The Riflemen pushing up here. Pretty aggressive for me, sort of trying to hit all points. Sort of keeping on the backside. Again, a bit unsure what to do. And I was sort of having to guess. And he's actually making a bit of a mistake here. He's actually spraying out his Volksgrenadiers, which is usually not what you want to do. You sort of want to sort of focus them, keep them together to support each other. You know, decent infantry tactics right there. Instead, of course, is allowing me to basically pick them off one by one, which is obviously working to my advantage. Of course, American doctrine actually had MGs supporting the infantry or riflemen as they fought forward, with the MGs sort of being more secondary. In fact, the LMGs were usually sort of more of a secondary team, whereas the LMG for the Wehrmacht was integrated into the main infantry squad. So, fun little fact there. I have been asked for more details about the Allies, of course. I don't know so much about them, so not really where the primary focus of my interest lie. That's sort of the Wehrmacht, so my apologies for those who want to know more about the Allies. I'll, of course, try to supplement. But figured that would interest in some. And there we go. Nicely laid down mine there. Always good to lay in mines. 3 riflemen down. And I go for BARs. Sort of having figured, well, he's got quite a few riflemen. Might as well push it. And of course, he of course can't go for the armored cars. In this case, that's not unusual for some Wehrmacht players to do. You know, see, oh wait, he spent a lot of fuel on something like this. He might not be able to quickly react to, say, something like an armored car. And this really don't go well again. Mines very dangerous, plus the Pioneers and the MG42. And again, Pioneers, these guns, including the grease guns, do the same amount of damage as the Volksgrenadier MP40. The difference is they're not quite as accurate, but again, if you can get quite up close and still, you know, in a good position, they can do some damage. Fun little fact there. Same applies to Engineers. So do not be completely discouraged. I mean, a good combination early on is basically combining your Volksgrenadiers or a rifleman with a Pioneer or Engineer team to sort of really buff them up. Can also prevent, for example, your Volksgrenadiers from being rushed early on. Small fighting here. Volksgrenadiers rushing into this house, hoping to get off some shots on the riflemen. Good cover in the house. BRs do less damage against units in buildings, so that certainly also helps. Although they're still doing quite a bit of damage to the Volksgrenadiers. Might be the idea to get some veterancy for them. Riflemen down though, Lipowitz. More riflemen moving up here. And Volksgrenadiers in this case, though, caught out in the open. Again, do not underestimate the BAR. Although again, also remember, riflemen are certainly a bit squishy, in particular without veterancy. There we go, suppressive fire though. MG42 that completely guns down several riflemen, not going well. But at the same time, I do sort of have a rather wide frontage where I can actually attack him from. So that's slightly more to my advantage. Going for the few points, and there we go. He is going for the Sturm Armory. Sort of having figured again, well, I'm not going for armored cars. He can probably safely go for that without suffering too much of a beating. And that's certainly not a bad idea, although not all players would do that. But it's certainly viable. More mines going off there, heavy losses. Bit of a drain there, supply and on the way, of course. I'm figuring I can't wait too much longer because, again, I also know that if I go BARs, there's a pretty high likelihood, or it's certainly a likelihood, that he might be going for armored cars. Again, that's sort of the things you can sort of try and predict. I mean, there's a lot of patterns at all sides. Usually, most players do tend to go for this if you go for this. Or so. Try to sort of learn the tricks, sort of learn the indicators of such matters. And again, I mean, there's a lot of sort of minor detail in some of these things you'll only learn with experience, but I'll certainly try to help. And there we go, mine of my own. Volksgrenadier down, the rest are pretty wounded. Volksgrenadier here taking some losses. Rifle moving into the house. And firing down. This is not looking too well for those Volksgrenadiers. One down. Yeah, they could be in fact completely wiped out. Will the last man run? Run! Oh dear, Helmut went down. And these Engineers again, nope, they can do a bit of damage up close. And there we go, several wounded Volksgrenadiers, heavily wounded, went down to those tricksy engineers. MG42 rather exposed, and these pioneers on their own. Now a pretty solid push for me, but now of course armored car ready. He's going to make his counter push, and he's going to make things very, very unpleasant for me in a few seconds. And of course I probably could have predicted that, but again I sort of figured BARs keep up the pressure, might do some damage. Of course now I've actually done quite a bit, slowly forcing him back. I might be able to gain me myself a slight advantage early on. There we go, the armored car rather than moving in here, trying to sort of hide for the armored car bit before making a run for it. More Volksgrenadiers caught rather than moving up. Again, he's spreading out his Volksgrenadiers. You do not want to spread out your Volksgrenadiers. They're not grenadiers. They need to work with others preferably, or they need to be in heavy cover. That's a very vital thing to remember, otherwise you need to get a lot of veterancy for them before you even sort of consider sending them out on their own, preferably veterancy free. Otherwise Volksgrenadiers will get their asses handed to them. I mean, if you're going to use them offensively, use them in numbers, not of course blobbing up, otherwise keep them in heavy cover for heaven's sake. That's rather where they work best. That was sort of the idea with the sort of Volksgrenadiers, the tactics that Wehrmacht used, or strategies when it came to sort of low quality, not elite infantry. We've been regular. But supplied up there. Armored car on the way. More Volksgrenadiers on the way. Basically, I mean, the 15th Panzergrenadier Division apparently not really having the best troops here, and basically rushing in. More Volksgrenadiers, of course, otherwise Ersatz Panzergrenadier, I suppose in this case would be. Building up here, providing firepower with the BARs. And Volksgrenadiers not in a great position. Again, exposed from several sides. Now we are seeing more moving up, but he needs that armored car. Die schwere Panzerspähwagen. Another thing that might have been great for him would have been a Nebelwerfer. Die Werfer des Nebels. And there we go, a bit of suppressive fire, suppressing them and making things a bit easier for me. Armored car moving up, armored skirts ready. Sturmgeschütz, of course, immediately pops out as soon as he sees that armored car. Interesting enough, he's not trying to upgrade the armored car to a Puma, which of course might actually have been a great choice in trying to hunt down my armored car, at least in my opinion. And meanwhile, a nice push in the east. Engineers from the mines, of course, I ought to have gotten them earlier, but now I do have them, so of course, in case the Wehrmacht gets any naughty mine action on. Armored car rushes in, fires away with a 50 caliber, quite the wonderful weapon still in use today. Quite vicious, although you can't any longer use it against infantry, those silly Geneva Convention things. It's alright to shoot at people as long as you don't do it with a too big gun. Not quite entirely sure how that works. And no, I don't care to know why. You'll just spoil the fun. But more Panzerfaust blasting away. Armored car sneaking up here. And hits a mine. Huzzah! Will the armored car be able to rush in? There we go. Sturmgeschütz 4 was produced in about 1,000 vehicles, I believe, according to one book I read. Not quite as much as the Stug 3G, which had about close to 9,000 built. The most produced armored vehicle in the Wehrmacht, although the Panzer IV is an extremely close second. The difference in how many were produced is less than 100. Sort of vehicles. We are really talking about 8,800 and then about 50 or 60 in difference, basically. It's really minute, but quite interesting to see. Panzer IV was certainly also very much produced. Of course, Greyhound, so that things was also quite produced, and certainly the Americans were basically the ones who produced the most armor in the war. Not even the Soviets could really keep up with what the Americans were able to do. Sturmgeschütz running up here, and this is pretty poor medic station placement from my behalf. I might have slightly not thought out well. Better position would have been here, but there you go. We can't all be awesome all the time. These riflemen need to get out of there. This position is not looking good. They're all fully wounded. It might also be the time for me to get a triage center. I'm not too good at that, which is certainly my own bloody fault. Not getting a lot of veterancy either. Bit of a mistake there by DrGreenthumb and the 15th. No veterancy for the armored car. No veterancy for the Sturmgeschütz. No veterancy for the MG42, which also really benefits from veterancy 1. More accuracy. and less reload time. Rather moving up here. Doing quite nicely here. Volkswagen is pulling in, but getting flanked. More veterancy for the riflemen. And the MG42 ready. This could easily turn ugly. Volkswagen is taking up position as well to sort of protect the MG42 from getting flanked. Not a bad idea, although finding a way with the anti-tank and basically hoping to bring down this administrative building. Sort that out. Might even catch a few of those units inside, which would be a pretty huge boon to me. No doctrinal choice though from DrGreenthumb. Where he looks, he's gone for terror. To strike the fear of the fatherland into that evil Dane. And there we go. A firestorm. Incendiary rockets landing in. Right on the anti-tank gun. Not a bad idea. Although, looks like most of the rockets are actually missing. That's less great. Volkswagen is taking up position here though. This building not so great. Not a lot of windows. They had MG42s or MP40s. That might have worked a bit better, but otherwise not the best position, I'd say. And also think it might have been an idea for him to actually have gotten a medic bunker with all those Volksgrenadiers, all that infantry, to sort of, you know, keep their attrition down and also get some more veteran infantry in the form of grenadiers. Basically that, and there we go. Oh dear, this building could soon be going down. The MG, there we go. Collapses on the MG42. The crew is tot. Zerstören. Sturmgeschützsphere once more repaired, and the Nebelwerfer also getting ready. The Nebelwerfer basically sort of being a code word for the chemical troops, sort of, in the idea that, you know, there might be some idea for some chemical warfare, some other things. Officially, they were sort of basically just there to lay down smoke screens, such. The Americans, in fact, also had their own variants. I believe they were called the chemical troops. They also had some pretty large mortars. The Germans also had that originally, but that soon basically just became all their rocket launchers for the field. And there we go, Rangers moving in, leading the way. Infantry has been chosen. Bazooka's ready. Doesn't do quite much against the frontal arm of the Sturmgeschütz. Bazooka could only penetrate about 60 millimeters of armor. Not quite as great as the Stug, which had 80 millimeters armor on the front. Plus it was a bit slow. And Volkswagen is going down. Not really looking good for the 15th Panzergrenadier Division's infantry. And they're not really sending in more of their veteran troops, which I suppose is a bit of a shame. Rangers moving up towards the cover, of course. So the Puma can do less damage, hoping to knock it out. Volkswagen is moving up as well. They're getting gunned down with the Thompson submachine gun, pretty much the best submachine gun the Americans had. They did try with the grease gun, but it was never quite as good. It was a bit harder to maintain, although it was easier to produce, and they had some other slight defects. But there you go, and there we go, the Nebelwerfer howling, also known by the Americans as the Moaning Mini for some reason. Never quite were good at sort of nicknaming, I think. Basically all their armor was also incidentally started being nicknamed by the British. So again, cool nicknames, not really what the Americans seem to be doing right in the war. Rangers though going down, armored car tearing through them with the auto cannon. Though it might be an idea to get that armored car out. Never mind, Bazooka knocks it out. And a repair bunker, it looks like up there for DrGreenthumb, no medic bunkers. But an artillery barrage right on it. And there we go, also swinging on to do a bit of an assault here in the west. Pushing on for Uncle Sam. Pioneers left behind here. Mine goes off. Killing an engineer. These pioneers actually need to get out of there. And Sturmgeschütz keep bombarding, finding those on veterancy. Volkswagen is moving up. Still no real veterancy for his troops, though. I would recommend more. In particular, as he seems to be getting more Volksgrenadiers. At least get some veterancy for them. I mean, veterancy 2 does grant them a bit of, you know, damage resistance. And veterancy 3 is really where it's at. Because that actually, you know, makes them tougher. They gain more health. So in that sense, they can actually become better troops. But now it goes for another armored car to replace the one lost. 15th Panzergrenadier Division. Pulled in from Italy to sort of fight on the western front. Acted a bit as a reserve at some stages. Was joined by another Panzergrenadier division from Italy, the 3rd.
We are losing territory.
Final leaders there pressing on here again, sort of trying to keep things on as many points as possible, not allowing him to focus all of his defenses in one place. That's usually what you want to do as the American. Generally, though, that's also what you want to do basically when you're attacking. You know, ensure he can't focus all of his defenses at one place. Try to sort of keep things moving, keep them fluid, make it harder to hold things down. Pioneers cut down in their youth. Yep. And the hiccup. No supplied upgrades though. Silly Dane, get one up. Also get a medic station. Rangers moving up here. Repair bunker have seen better days. And bunker almost down, there we go. And a bit of artillery right there on the Wehrmacht base for some reason. Having actually snuck in here, there's a slight little thing where I can do that. Hoping to get the Volksgrenadiers and hoping to catch him off guard, but no, still suppressing the Volksgrenadiers, doing a bit of damage, having a bit of fun. And damaging the Wehrmacht quarters right from the need to get out of there, and there we go. They're forced away by the elites of the 15th. Well, not really.
Ready for orders. Full squad here.
Volksgrenadiers moving up here. Charging along. More mines protecting this high munitions points. And now it's actually looking a bit bad for those riflemen. Might want to consider getting the devil out of there. A victory point secured. Reinforcing once more still. No veterancy for the infantry. I do find that a bit of a lacking. On the still, veterancy 1 is better than no veterancy, as that at least provides them with a bit of healing, which again really can help in the long run. Which is also why really I should have considered getting a triage center, but I'm awfully bad at that as Americans. Awfully bad. Much too terrible, in fact, which is really not excusable. But it still managed me to propel me to rank level 14 as Americans. Stug moving in, supporting the Volksgrenadiers, so that's good tactics. More Volksgrenadiers moving up, though I'd still like to see some veterans, or perhaps even one MP40 for some of them at least. A bit of increased firepower. Or at least some veterans 2 for the Stug, given an MG. It doesn't quite seem fully focused on killing my infantry. Now we're seeing another MG42 coming out. Armor car moving up, range is a bit exposed. Hoping to hit the flank, but instead they could turn against the Puma. Sticky bomb on the Stug. Volksgrenadiers fanning. And immobilized. So here it gets broken. Riflemen need to get out of there. And oh dear. Rifleman went down. BAR left behind. And anti-tank gun moving in, but it's a bit too far, and I've not got any protection by it. This is really terrible by me. Do not send in your anti-tank guns on their own. They are not really meant for that. Again, it's a support unit. In this case, I really made a mistake. But medic station replacement has gone up, though it hasn't really been able to pick up any wounded. The previous nut didn't run either. That can happen. Volksgrenadiers is now pushing forward. Some few Rangers not doing well, though. Anti-tank gun crew dead. And the Volksgrenadiers are quick to supplement it into the ranks of the Wehrmacht. Which is all nice and dandy for him. There's another one for me. And finally a supplied upgrade. Really should have gotten that earlier. Again, really a vital upgrade for all Americans. I certainly recommend always getting at least one, preferably 2. Yes, that can really help with the manpower upkeep in the long term. Really give you a lot more manpower. Plus, of course, it also helps with infantry veterancy. Again, also making them tougher, a lot tougher. So do not underestimate them. Those upgrades. And we are in fact seeing Inspired Assault note something here quite interesting. I'm moving in, my riflemen basically attacking. Usually I don't see that veterancy 2 though, but note the Volksgrenadiers veterancy 2, but with Inspired Assault are in fact capable of knocking out an entire team with BARs again. I mean, really, you don't see often Inspired Assault doing it up, but I mean, it can do a lot of trouble. Usually, though, you see the enemy running, and I was basically a bit in shock, sort of, did that just happen? So in that sense, you know, do not forget Inspired Assault. It's not a very often used in, say, like, for the Fatherland, but again, used properly, or at least if you catch your opponent off guard, it can do a lot. And he hasn't picked up that BAR. Come on, DrGreenthumb, you're not really a doctor now, are you? Forced retreat, and I do believe it's time for the mid-game analysis. Current situation, a bit hairy with both sides are taking some pretty heavy losses, but it looks like DrGreenthumb is slowly turning things around, finally getting some further veterans for his infantry. bleeding me out a bit. Got an MG42 again, which is only going to make things a bit harder for me. Although I do have the medic station about damn time. I might want to consider getting either more upgrades to the supply yard or a tank depot. I've certainly got the fuel for it. But again, manpower is the most important resource, and I'm currently just trying to sort of spend that properly and keep things on the field. And I'm also very close to an off-map combat group being available. Of course, for DrGreenthumb, I'd recommend a medic bunker, perhaps around here, you know, help with his infantry issues. Pick up those BARs, perhaps getting MP40. More veterans for the Stug, mines, barbed wire, sandbags, things like that can really help such a lovely Panzergrenadier person like him. So again, such matters should be remembered. And hello there, Hans. You're looking awfully ready for a propaganda poster. Too bad that's not the time. But let's return to the field, to the fight. Bugs, oh dear. And a sticky bomb on the Stug again. Hurrah, huzzah. And another MG42 actually pulls up, while the other one gets forced to retreat. Come on, Volksgrenadiers, pick up the BAR. I know you want to. I know you want to augment your firepower, become a bit more aggressive, a bit more increased in firepower. Come on, lads. Volksgrenadiers ready. Also looks like some pioneers have gotten trained. And one lonely pioneer repairs that armored car, wondering where his comrade is. And why there aren't any grenadiers on the field.
Listen up, Rangers. Got ground activity over here.
And Rifleman pushing up through the center versus Vet-22 Volksgrenadiers. Will the Volksgrenadiers get to cover? No, they run past it. But the MG42 is there to save the day. Schweres MG42. And Riflemen do get pushed off quickly. Hurrah, huzzah. And a ding dong.
Germans are seizing territory.
Well, not ding dong, but it's fun to say. Will he finally pick up the BAR? Come on. You're standing right next to it. Are you blind? I know you like to say it's like crap, but still it can provide you with a bit more firepower. That's usually all what you want. A bit of Nebelwerfer in this case, they're not really doing a lot. And I also got quite a bit of resource in this case. I'm actually sort of trying to save up again for basically, you know, that off-map combat group. Although it wouldn't have been a bad idea to perhaps get a second supplied upgrade in the meanwhile. Forced retreat again, using it quite nicely to sort of keep his flanks clear. Although again, an officer could also do that for a bit cheaper to only send one team away. Rifleman Veterans 2, lovely, good unit preservation there. Rangers also Veterans 1 actually. Now the Volksgrenadiers moving in, the one with the BR, the one with the out. Both Veterans 2, so they do take a little less damage, not by a huge lot. And Inspired Assault again. Also helps the BAR, although in this case, of course, I'm able to run behind this and get the devil out of there.
Reinforcements ready to roll.
Have to be careful, though it does make your troops easier to hit, so be careful. You know, use cover. Entdeckung, Männer! Entdeckung! Whatever that means. I have a suspicion it means cover. And there we go, off-map combat group. Hellcat arrives and drives into a wall. Clearly Gumby is driving. And these folks are not doing well. The ground around them is being shattered. The trees falling apart. And there's no heavier cover because someone decided they didn't want to lay down sandbags. Hellcat moving in, 50 caliber blazing. Spots that armored car. Opens up. And the Hellcat was certainly the fastest tank destroyer of the war. It was also pretty thinly armored. But it certainly wasn't a bad one. Not quite in the same variant, of course, as the German ones, who's rather worked on some different concepts. Certainly also American tank doctrine, that is armored doctrine, basically relied on tank destroyers and actually doing the tank killing, while the Germans actually supported the infantry. And there we go, blowing a hole in the wall using the Rangers and their bazookas. Nifty little there, and making a dash right into the German base. Need to get the Rangers out of there. Get out of there, men. Lads, boys. Calling in right there. Will he notice? And the Hellcat. There we go. Only one? Come on, there we go. Heavier losses. Getting out of the bunker. Hellcat moves in. Clears out that Nebelwerfer. So armored car and some other chaps down. Rifleman actually gets reformed. Hussar and a Panzerfaust gets the Hellcat, although one Volksgrenadier.
Casualties.
And I think that was actually the one who fired it, sort of got crushed down. 9! He probably had a nightmare about it the night before.
Losing ground.
That he was being crushed by a Hellcat he had knocked out. Tragic.
Breaks over, back to the war.
MG42 marches upwards again. DrGreenthumb, though, has managed to stabilize things a bit, create a more solid front. Which is good. Veterancy certainly always helps. And I certainly always recommend it. And there we go. Some MP40s. Machine pistol and 40. Lovely. And they're holding it in the proper manner. Sturg ready as well. Though again, veterancy 240 would be a nice move. But fire rifleman teams and a ranger team, although the rangers have seen better days.
Krauts are grabbing our territory.
And a 30 caliber as well to join in the fun. With another one covering this area from the off-map combat group. In this case, not quite able to cover. Rifleman needs to get out of there. Somewhere someone died. I'm not entirely sure where. I'm getting stopped by the MG42. Nebula for firing only 30 caliber. Oh dear. And looks like I've forgotten all about it. Poor crew. And they die horrifically. Mines going off, I think. Armored car nearby, although with a damaged engine. 30 caliber taking up position here. Could do some damage to the armored car with its armor piercing rounds if it so feels like it. MG gunner gets picked up by the medics. Will they get out of there? And another off-map combat group. Several anti-tank guns and armored car and the riflemen. More sticky bombs on the armored car for the Germans. Still no Puma upgrade and it gets immobilized. But fun fact about the Greyhound, it was originally conceived as a tank destroyer. Yes, indeed, American tank destroyer doctrine early on was actually pretty confused. They sort of figured something and that would be great at knocking out tanks. It was later realized it was basically very better at working as an armored car. There was also a variant without the gun, and which was sort of more of a utility car, which basically just had the 50 caliber. Coming up with some Volksgrenadier Sturmgeschütz moving up. Most Panzergrenadier divisions would pretty much have Sturmgeschütz in their Panzerabteilung, which what was Panzergrenadier division only had one battalion. Although usually they didn't actually get Panzers. Very rarely they would, otherwise in some cases they wouldn't even have the Panzerabteilung, they would just have the Sturmgeschützabteilung, depending on whatever. I think the only real Panzergrenadier unit in the certainly in the later stage of the war which actually had Panzers, I believe was the I can't remember the number, but it was the Nordland Panzergrenadier Division. This is sort of where all the Scandinavians were, which had the Panzerabteilung Hermann von Salza, named after some Teutonic Knights Order Grand Master, which actually had some tanks, and they had a Sturmgeschützabteilung, which was a bit rare. And they even had Panthers, but fun little fact there, isn't it?
Enemy has 100 points.
Rather moving up, though, taking heavy losses. Oh dear, Dane, get them out of there! Get them out of there! And veterancy for the MG42, finally learning DrGreenthumb. MG gets cleared out. The Rifleman also taking extremely horrific losses. Volksgrenadiers counter-attacking, another MG42 moving up. Oh dear, Rifleman down. Armored car though also goes down. Armored car in a not so great position. And sneaking in here, Rifleman needs to get out of there. Forced retreat, in fact, hoping to avoid a sticky bomb. That's not a bad idea. Heavy machine gun though staying in the barrel factory. But trying again to push at all angles again, sort of stretch out his resources to the limit. Of course, what he might do is basically just wait for me to make a mistake and then push again with his focus resource in one stage. That's usually what you do. MG4 could be recruit. Armored car doing what it can to basically hold away the German attackers. Dual Panzerfausting it. That seems a bit excessive, but apparently that was what needed. No further supplied upgrades. More wounded being called in. Armored car gets wrecked, and now the Rangers are here to play. Still no triage center for me though. Pretty bad. Not excusable again. Rangers a bit out in the open though, taking a bit of fire. In particular, those MP40s can be a bit dangerous. But Nebelwerfer's fire and apparently hit their own Volksgrenadiers. That's this grand. But a Königsjäger has arrived to support the 15th in the effort to stop the 31st Infantry Division. And the Rangers do get pushed off. Has to be a bit careful here though. American anti-tank guns compared to the 50 calibers are certainly the most powerful ones, and with armor-piercing rounds can do more damage than a flak. Plus they can also pretty much penetrate everything. Rather moving up to support. And DrGreenthumb rather realizes he needs to get his King Tiger out of there. And riflemen get pushed off. But once more pushing for here, anti-tank and bringing a bit of problems for his armored car. He's also placed a repair bunker here still. No medic bunker though for DrGreenthumb. Again, I do feel that's a bit of a miss, to put it mildly. Again, a medic tree center would be great. Troops need reinforcement. Although again, I might be waiting for an off-map combat group again. Those can be lovely. Riflemen taking heavy losses out in the front. MG42 Volksgrenadier with a BAR, doing quite nicely. And the King Tiger, the Königsjäger, the Tiger 2. MG42 manages to actually stop the flank right there. Still, eastern flank is collapsing. Victory points actually looking pretty bad for him. I do believe it's time to actually have a look at DrGreenthumb again. My apologies, I'm a bit late there. I do get caught up at times.
Where do you want us?
He could be getting a V1 that might be able to help him a bit. And another rifleman team gets reformed. Hussar. The King Tiger though is not so Hussar. That's certainly something you have to be careful about. Can be quite a problem. Something you always have to keep in mind. Otherwise you're going to end up with a lot of problems. Anti-tank gun gets sorted out by the Volksgrenadiers. 30 caliber tries to protect, but it's simply too late. And Volksgrenadiers actually get the suppression resistance, so that's not really helping either. Now the battle factory is no longer safe. Königsjäger has arrived. It has it in its sights. High velocity 88mm gun firing away and clears out both machine gunners remaining inside there. Eastern front has completely collapsed. More Hellcats actually joining in an off-map combat group, and this was a pretty nasty one. An armored car and 2 tank destroyers, that's pretty rare. Nebelwerfer gets sorted out. Volksgrenadiers get cut down, retreat too much, 50 caliber fire. Flaps being... Though a bit of damaged engines going on there, not entirely sure how that happened, perhaps some Panzerfaust, perhaps something else. Still, Nebelwerfer down, infantry support has been denied, precious infantry support. King Tiger rushes to the other side of the front. Hellcats limping away, not so Hellcatty anymore. And the armored car runs into its nightmare, the King Tiger. Panzerfaust still seems to be doing most of the damage. Both anti-tank guns covering, although a firestorm could be knocking them out. Advance going on here. Volksgrenadiers, King Tiger. 15th Panzergrenadier Division though is pretty much stretched to its limits. Resources are thin, they are bare. It's suffering a bit too much. There are 3 heavy machine guns. One of them American. Medics moving in as usual. King Tiger advances. Anti-tank guns not quite ready though. But the Hellcats valiantly move forwards, and riflemen are moving up as well. This of course could end up badly. It actually fires at the riflemen, oddly enough. And now anti-tank guns getting recruited, and armor-piercing rounds are getting prepared, I imagine. And there we go. King Tiger's taking quite a bit of damage. So much anti-tank gun fire, even if they don't penetrate, they usually do some damage. And there we go. Damaged engine, armor-piercing rounds still keep hammering them. Hellcats moving in, they now have smelled blood. The King Tiger is bleeding. but certainly crippled. Not entirely sure why Flaps decides to be so unfriendly now all of a sudden. And one shot away. Main gun destroyed, although also on the Hellcat. And there we go. King Tiger is down. I repeat, King Tiger is down. Hellcat also goes down, but at this stage it's pretty much too late. King Tiger is lost, and with that, there's only a rather scattered force of infantry and heavy machine guns to really resist what is here. And veterancy 3 for this Hellcat. Increasing damage, and that also includes that 50 caliber mounted on top, which is actually going to be a bit of a problem for the infantry then. Rather moving in through the flanks here. Rangers also pretty open. Heavy machine gun, in fact, sort this out. Will luck won the game. GG. Wouldn't quite say luck. Clearly there were things Mr. DrGreenthumb could have done better, and of course, let's just beat this up. What are those? Well, of course, something like, say, you know, a medic bunker. I mean, he didn't quite have that, and that probably would have helped him with all that infantry, in particular since he was rather insistent on only sticking to false grenades and training those. Again, medic bunker would have helped. Earlier veterancy would also have helped him right there. And might also have helped him to sort of try and shorten down the lines. A bit of barbed wire, a bit of sandbags. Again, he didn't quite get that, which certainly hurt him a bit. He had some mines early on, but that sort of fell through then. Not salvaging either, not good, but you know, no medic bunkers, no further veterancy for the infantry, and certainly a bit late. That was rather somewhere his problems lay. I certainly didn't do too well either. I mean, should have gotten the second supply upgrade, and definitely should have gotten a triage center. But again, that's, you know, what you can learn. But, you know, was doing pretty well, you know, keeping up the aggression on several flanks, and then basically, you know, it was a bit of, you know, hoping for things to go alright. Well, I mean, with an off-map combat group, you usually get something that can deal with armor. In that case, I just got the right tools, and I just used them in the right way. I mean, just getting Hellcats won't just win you the game, you also need to use them properly. But there you go. Do hope you enjoyed this game. If you did, why not subscribe and tell your friends? And if you didn't, well, why not send a replay of your own? This is ImperialDane saying cheers.